If you could wish for a new life, would you do it? Once there lived a boy, or what he would probably tell you, son of a boy. The boy was missing something. But what that something is, he didn't know. In truth, the boy was missing a great deal. He had no home, no family or friends, not even any emotion, just this feeling of an empty space inside his chest. Only void. But the boy didn't notice. It was as if he had forgotten his whole life, yet had no recollection that it was ever there. A truly awful fate. They say ignorance is bliss, but I wouldn't call this bliss. I'm not sure if it would even be better if he could remember what he had lost. Is it better to have lived and lost, or never to have lived at all? Strangely, one thing the boy could remember was the existence of a spirit, an oracle. This oracle, however, was not quite as omniscient as you might expect. The spirit was a self-proclaimed oracle, and instead of being bestowed infinite knowledge, it strived to acquire it. The spirit was bound by its own laws. One may ask for any information or wish within its celestial power, in exchange for knowledge. An eye for an eye, so to speak. A fair price, some might say, especially for a boy with no memory. The boy sought to find the spirit. But where does one find an oracle? He didn't know. But it wasn't just him. Nobody knew where the spirit dwelled. A place no one can find save for those who are gravely lost. A place between somewhere and nowhere bides knowledge and its cost. This is all the boy could remember, branded in his mind like a scar that won't fade. How do you reach a place between somewhere and nowhere? This question, which might trouble you and I, never crossed the boy's mind. Fortunately, which in itself is unfortunate, he was already nowhere. Now, what does nowhere look like, you might be wondering? Well, close your eyes for a moment. What do you see? Now clear it, wipe it all away. Stop looking with your mind as the images will come back. See with your eyes. Feel them slide against your shut eyelids as you look around the darkness. Something like that, perhaps. Or maybe it's when you are lost, where you recognize nothing and the uncertainty of where you've been. Where you look around and nothing is the same, everything changes as soon as you take your eyes off it. Everything around you is inconsistent. A little bit like life, really. Nothing is constant. Or perhaps nowhere isn't something that you see, but something that you feel. Something that lives inside you. I don't know. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough not to have experienced it. To the best of my knowledge. Perhaps we never know when we are nowhere. A bit like the boy. So the boy just walked, trudging through the abyss, the mist we all tread without seeing our feet or what's before us. Yet still we walk on, just as the boy did. It's a slow journey. How does he know if he's heading the right way? It doesn't matter. Just keep walking. What if he's going backwards? It doesn't matter. Just keep walking. What if he's not fast enough? It doesn't matter. Just keep walking. All of these thoughts, he did not question. They did not hold him back. His mind was blank, like the nowhere around him. Sometimes thoughts and images come into our mind and obstruct our vision. They can question our conviction. And sometimes they don't matter. Just keep walking. The boy kept walking, until he suddenly found himself on a dirt road with tall hedges either side. The ground was wet, with puddles dotted and pooled in the dips and waves of the shallow-pitted path. Seemed like he'd just missed the rain. The sky was a mysterious shade. It was grey, with swirls of blue and indigo, and speckles of amber, like a perpetual and impossible sunset in the solar system, where all the stars are ablaze, scorched into the eternal canvas, and painted over with clouded coats of grey. The sky was as a magpie's wing is black, and irrefutably black. But at the same time, blue. The wind was gentle, and, could it be touched, mild, but piercing. The chill reached deep beneath the skin, leaving a frosted dew in the veins, but leaving warmth in the flesh. How did he get here? One moment he was nowhere, and now he is here. Still nowhere, but a tangible nowhere. How did this happen? There must have been some kind of transition point. No. It is as I said. One moment he was nowhere, the next, suddenly finding himself on a dirt road with tall hedges either side. No in between. Only a now, and a now that has passed. It was not a shock to him, as it was all still now. It's difficult to understand, I know. I guess it's all about perspective. Something you have to experience yourself. All of this happened without the boy taking a single step out of rhythm. He continued to keep walking, in seemingly a straight line, down the single dirt track into infinity. You might think I just said that for dramatic effect, and while that is partly true, it is an accurate description. The path seemed to twist and turn to no end, every corner promising a new destination in sight. However, only offered more road, more hedge, and a new corner. The colour started to fade from the sky. It wasn't as vibrant as it once was. It was starting to become simply grey. A shadow darted across in front of him, disrupting his rhythm, shooting from hedge to hedge. The boy lowered his body, lightened the weight on his feet, and crept forward to investigate the small shadow. He had no memory, but it seems his curious nature remained. I guess when the mind falters, the heart remembers. He could see the shadow, seemingly levitating on the bush, weightless. Then it changed shape, morphed, revealing a small golden ring for an eye, and an equally golden knife blade for a mouth. It was not a shadow, nor was it ever a shadow. It was just a blackbird. The boy relaxed his body, standing upright and moving some weight back into his feet. He half expected this readjustment to startle the bird, especially from as close as he was, some 3 feet away, but it didn't. The blackbird remained staring at the boy. Then, after a moment or two, the bird flew off further down the path, perching on the opposite hedge. He watched until he noticed the blackbird's ecliptical eye gazing back at him, inviting him to follow. And follow he did. Perhaps the boy should have been more cautious of the bird. A mere blackbird displaying this level of intelligence and communication could also be hiding something else. Perhaps it is not merely a blackbird. Although, what else could he do? Also, what a peculiar place for a guide. A road with no turn-offs, just many turns. Putting his faith and trust in the bird, the boy followed it, navigating puddle after puddle, as the blackbird glided from bush to bush, waiting at corner after corner, until one leftward bend, the hedge on the right sloped down to an opening, and the bird flew round, following the path, leaving the boy behind. The boy approached what could only be the final corner, and gazed into the opening. A glade, with grand trees and grass of grey forming a perfect circle on the edge of the fir forest. There were 3 trees in the glade, standing tall, independently, and, beneath the now monochrome sky, colourless. while the other trees stood straight and tall. Instinctively I want to say with pride, but there was no pride about their presence, or even much life. While they stood like stakes driven into the earth, one tree, hairier than the others, in the centre, had its tip hung towards the ground, as if unconscious and being suspended from the sky. He didn't think to see where the blackbird had gone. He could have done, but he didn't look to the left to see where the path went. He had no thoughts, only a sense of curiosity about the slumped tree. He stepped off the path, feeling the ghostly softness of the grass beneath his feet, like walking on cotton, and approached the tree. The boy stood before it, face to face with the tree's tip, with the gentle and reassuring flowing of the wind, with its icy breath, filling all other senses, like sound and silence. He heard a sniffling coming from the tip of the tree. It must have been a squirrel. Except it wasn't. The tree lifted what would be its head were it human, and investigated the boy's face with its nose. The boy didn't know what it was, but it was not a tree. The being spoke to him, not with a mouth or moving parts, but with thought on the wind. "You shouldn't be here," it creaked. "You don't belong here." The boy maintained his attention on the tree-like being, unsurprised, thoughtless, emotionless. It stared back at him, exploring the space behind his eyes, then looked away, as if reconsidering what it had said. "I don't belong here. I was dragged here against my will. I want to go home. It hurts here." It looked down at the boy. "When you see the oracle, just it takes, it muttered to itself, then hesitated. "Don't sell your soul for anything. You can't buy it back. There's no price worth that of a soul." The being didn't know if its words had reached the boy, still stood like an empty carapace of a person, showing the signs where life once was, magnifying its absence. But they had. There was still some movement in his eyes, air in his lungs, a spark in his mind, and a light in his heart, functioning like always. Only voiceless. The boy considered what it is to have a soul. The warmth inside you when you're happy, when you feel joy and love, when you laugh your lungs empty, when you're home. He couldn't remember any of it, but he could feel the space where it should have been. A thumping resonated in the chamber in his chest. It hurt. Go. And the boy kept walking. The boy repeatedly put one foot in front of the other, not looking where he was going, eyes open but blind, staring at where his feet would have been. He didn't know what direction he was heading, where he was going. That's not what he was thinking. Just left after right, right after left, step after step, until there were no more steps to step. He stopped, though not by choice, but because he had reached the end. A place between somewhere and nowhere. He lifted his head, vision returning to his eyes, allowing him to see before him. A spirit made of orbs of pure light, a dull light, present but non-blinding, like a withering star, with countless wings of light streaks, the stuff rainbows are made of. The Oracle. Something spoke to him. There was no voice to be heard, but a thought that infested his mind like a parasite. It asked what he wished for. The boy then realized he did not know why he had come, only that he felt that he should. He froze to consider this and his wish, while he could feel the foreign thoughts biting and burrowing into his mind, his few memories and feelings flashing and fading before him. Tell me, 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 tell me. I wish to send the tree being home. The spirit knew the one he spoke of. A new thought swelled in the boy's mind. In exchange for what? A difficult question. The boy thought he would have to share his knowledge, not forfeit it. He now had to consider from the very little he could remember what he was willing to part with. Then he stopped. I exchanged the answer to the question, what lies at the end of a road that never ends? The offer is accepted. A question with many answers, yet is paradoxical. The oracle didn't know the answer itself, and it was information the boy was willing to part with. Truthfully, the boy didn't know for certain either. Only what he had experienced, but it seems he knew more than the oracle. With this information being withdrawn from his mind, it is likely the boy will never see the oracle again, or ever know what happened to the tree being. He may not remember any of this, but it doesn't matter. Just keep walking.